I do that, and then I already have a PDS called hswqxt1.purple.pros. Now, can everybody see this extra particular panel? So
yes.
Here you can give a member name. So inside this PDS, what member am I trying to edit? What
Member.
Mem1, absolutely. Now, if mem1 exists, then it will be opened in edit mode. If it doesn't exist, then mainframe will create that member and will open it in edit mode. So can everybody see? This is how, and yeah, go ahead, question anybody. Somebody had a question? Okay. Now this is how an edit screen looks like on the mainframe. Now, can anybody tell me how many columns are visible on this particular screen? Anybody?
72.
1 to 72. So by default, mainframe screen will only show you 1 to 72. You have to scroll to the right to see the remainder. Yeah, I'll show that to you when I start doing a demonstration. Yeah. Now, the moment you open a particular PS or a member in a PDS in edit mode, this is where you are expected to type the data. Can everybody see this? This is the place where you can enter the data. Yeah. Now, the moment edit mode opens on ISPF, just start typing the text in that area. Two types of commands are possible in edit mode. One is a primary command, which is typed on the command line on the top. Next is a line command that is typed on the lines in the line number area. So the line number area is this particular area. You will start getting line numbers only after you type something. Initially, you will just see single quote, single quote, single quote. The moment you type some data and hit enter, you will get a line number in this particular place. Now, you can type commands here, or you can type commands here. These commands are primary commands. These commands are line commands. So as we saw earlier, there are two types of commands that are possible in the edit mode. One is a primary command that is usually typed on top on the command line. Second is a line command that is usually typed in the line number area. I think before we stopped, I was asking a question. Can anybody guess the difference between a primary command and a line command? Anybody? Any answers? Okay. By the way, primary command will be typed here. Line command will be typed here in the line number area. Can anybody guess? Any answers? Okay, go ahead.
Sir, in the primary area, the command should be written by one by one. Like if you put the one command, then we have to put the enter, then second command, then third. And in the line, and in the line part area, we can just write the 4-5 commands which we have to run, and then put the
single enter.
Yes, single enter at the end.
Lovely answer. I mean, even though it's not right, but beautiful answer. I never thought of this before. Excellent. Go ahead.
So according to me, it may be like primary keys will be related to the ISPF commands.
Okay.
And other keys will be like modification of data, like member data.
Good guess again. Good guess again. Anybody else? I mean, both of you are on the right track, even though not completely correct. Anybody else wants to add anything? Okay. Primary command will be applicable to the complete data set that you're editing. So if you're editing a data set with 100 lines, then any primary command will be applicable to all the 100 lines of data. However, line command will be specific only to that particular set of lines. So if you type a line command here and here, this command will be applied only to this line. This command will be applied only to this line. So that is the difference between line command and primary command. Who was the first person who answered?
Anirudh.
Yeah, Anirudh. You can type multiple primary commands. You can demarcate them with semicolon. Yeah, what I mean by that, Anirudh, is you can type command 1, semicolon command 2, comma semicolon command 3. First, this command will be executed, then this command will be executed, then this command will be executed. That is 1. 2, you can give one line command here, you can give another line command here, and with a single enter, you can make sure that both of these commands are executed. So your answer was pretty much on track. Yeah. The second answer, who gave that answer?
Manoj.
That was also a good answer, Manoj. Yeah. So primary command, try to avoid using the word key. Okay. Key usually means function key. Command usually means some text you type either here or here. But your answer was also pretty much on the track. Yes, Manoj. Okay. So each data set by default will have a profile that is assigned automatically by the operating system. For example, you can have a profile that is set up so that all the data is completely in capital letters, or if you type the data in mixed case letters, then the data continues to be in mixed case. So even though operating system will give you a profile, you can change that profile as you wanted to, yeah, on the operating system. Now ISBF generates a default edit profile. Usually it is suitable. Sometimes it is not suitable. In that case, how do you look at the profile? By typing the primary command profile on the edit panel. So the moment you type the primary command profile on the edit panel, the edit profile will appear on the 5 lines above the records in the dataset. So let me go to this example. So can everybody see what have I typed in this particular dataset? What have I typed in this particular dataset? Some text. The moment I type, what happened to this line number area? Can anybody tell me what happened? Line numbers have appeared in this particular area. Yeah. Now, after I type this, after I have typed all of this stuff in my dataset, what have I done? I have done a profile command. So what extra thing do you see in this dataset now? You see the profile of this particular dataset. So what is the setting for caps? Anybody? On. So even though I typed everything in mixed case, the moment I hit enter, what has happened to the data?
Transform to caps on.
Absolutely. So instead, if I had caps off, what would have happened? After I type the data and hit enter, the data would have remained exactly like this. So similarly, there are other profile items as well, but as of now, we'll focus mostly on some of the simple ones. Yeah. So caps, usual default setting is that all entered lines are converted to caps, caps on. This is everybody, please mute yourself. There's a little bit of background noise. Thank you. Yeah. So usually everything in mainframe is typed in complete caps, COBOL programs, JCLs. So that is why caps on is a very good setting to have. To change the setting, what do you type on the primary command? What command should you type? Caps off. Similarly, by default, in any dataset, the last 8 columns will always be a sequence number. This is very, very useful for COBOL programs and JCLs, but it is not useful for data files. Let me go back to our notepad for a second. Let me share my complete screen before I do that so that you can see the notepad as well. Go to the... Yeah, okay. Can everybody see my notepad?
Yes.
So in our data file, in the customer details file that you created, what is expected to be present in the last 10 bytes? Anybody? Of every record?
Numeric value.
Correct. What numeric value for what field? Phone number is expected to be present. So is it logical to have a sequence number in those 8 columns? Is it logical? No. So in any data file, please use this particular primary command. Don't forget it. Unnum will make sure that the sequence numbers are removed from the last 8 columns, and then you can type your own data in those last 8 columns. So please make sure you do it for all the data PS files. However, for COBOL programs and JCLs, it's okay to have a sequence number. In fact, each sequence number is required for COBOL programs and JCLs in the last 8 files. Next is hex on or hex off. We will cover this in COBOL. I know many things I say we'll cover at a later point. Trust me, we will definitely cover those at a later point. Highlight is another option that is available in the profile. Usually highlight is switched off, but sometimes in a JCL or COBOL, it's useful to have highlight switched on. If you switch on highlight, then parts of the dataset will come in different color. So sometimes you can correct syntax errors just by looking at the colors that are displaying in your program. So highlight is useful for COBOL and JCL. To stop displaying the edit profile, type the reset command on the command line in edit mode. So I'm showing some screens where I'm trying to edit a particular dataset. Yeah. Now in this particular mainframe, it's a slightly weird mainframe. Can everybody see what option is edit? Everybody?
Fourth option.
4. Usually it is always option 2. In this particular mainframe, they have changed it slightly so that it's option 4. But in our mainframe and usually default on mainframes, option 2 will be edit. Yeah? So I go to that particular option, I enter the name of a particular PDS, and then I enter the member name. So which PDS am I trying to access here? Anybody?
JCL.
Source.jcl. And which member am I trying to access? exe4. So since exe4 does not exist, it is created afresh. Now can everybody see this? Now
Yes.
in the dataset name, member name is always represented with parenthesis on each side of the member name. So the dataset name is trga37b.source.jcl, and then open parenthesis, the member name is exe4. So whenever you open a member, you will see the complete dataset name along with the member name on the top of the edit screen. Yeah, now I am typing the primary command profile. The moment I do it, the profile becomes visible. Now can everybody see highlight JCL? So whenever you give a logical name to the dataset, since the dataset itself has JCL, mainframe operating system assumes that you're going to store JCL in that PDS. That is why it automatically highlights it like a JCL. Similarly, I'm again going to option 4. Yeah, I'm opening a COBOL PDS. I'm creating a new member called exe1 inside the COBOL PDS. Yeah, and then I'm seeing the profile. Yeah, however, in this case, highlight is switched off. So the point I'm making here is sometimes the profile will be good. Sometimes you have to change the values in a profile by typing the appropriate primary command. Yeah, let me pause for a second. So some of the most common line commands on the edit panel, I will insert a line after the line in which you are entering the line command. What do I mean by it? Let me go back to this particular slide. Yeah, let me go back to the slide with the text on it. One moment. Okay. Now, if I type I on this particular line, a new line will get inserted between these two lines. So like this line command will insert a line after the line on which it was typed. So I is to insert a new line so that you can type something on it. Can anybody guess what might be D? Anyone? What could be D?
So delete.
Absolutely. Delete a particular line. You can also have I followed by a number or numbers. I20 will insert 20 blank lines after the line. Similarly, can anybody guess what will D20 do? Anybody? Absolutely. From the line where you have typed the command, including that line, it will delete 20 lines. Similarly, you can use a block command, dd on a particular line and dd on another particular line. This whole block of lines, including both of these lines, will be deleted. Similarly, C is to copy a single line, C followed by a number is to copy a number of lines, CC is to copy a block of lines. However, CC, all of these C commands should always be followed up by a A or B line command. A means copy the pasted lines after the line on which you have given the command. Can anybody guess what could be B? Anybody? What could be B? Anybody?
Copy and move the lines before.
Absolutely. Copy or move the lines before the line on which you have given the B command. So copy will take a copy of the lines and paste them with the A or B. Move will move the lines using A or B. Yeah, some of this may be slightly theoretical, don't worry about it. The moment I start doing a demo, things will be much clearer. Similarly, there are other commands as well. You can move a line or a block of lines by 1 byte to the left, or you can move a line or a block of lines by 1 byte to the right. Why is this important? We'll understand once I start typing data in a particular data set. In this also you can use numbers, but the numbers mean slightly different thing. Yeah, this nn means the number of bytes you want to move to the left. Similarly, this nn means the number of bytes you need to move to the right. The easiest way to remember this is this bracket will move things in this direction. This bracket will move things in this direction. That is the easier way to remember it. Similarly, column numbers can be displayed by using the call or columns line command. Yeah, X, R we will cover at a later point in time after I do a demo. Okay, so does everybody remember what file I created? Everybody, what file did I create? Customer.details. Now I'm going to type data in this particular file. So this particular file, what is the record length? 105. And every record is supposed to have how many fields? Three fields. First is customer ID, which will be completely numeric, and then name, which will be alphanumeric, and finally address, which will also be alphanumeric. Is everybody okay with that? Now, which option? Yeah, question anybody before I go? Any question? Okay. Now, which option should I use to edit a PS? Anybody? Which option? Which option? Anybody?
Option 2.
Option 2. So I've gone to ISPF. Can everybody see what is option 2? Option 2. Now here also you can either enter the dataset name here or you can enter it here. Again, if you enter it here, please remember fully qualified, unqualified, single quotes, first level qualified. However, if you enter it here, no quotes are required, but you have to give every single qualified. But the advantage here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6 qualifiers you can give. And these 3 are optional. What do I mean by optional? If you have only 3 qualifiers, you can give them 1, 2, 3. If you have 4 qualifiers, you can give 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you have 5 qualifiers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. However, experienced users always prefer to use this particular dataset name rather than these things. So what is my dataset called? Anybody? What is my dataset called?
Customer.details.
beta01.customer.details. Anybody? Is this unqualified or fully qualified?
Qualified.
Fully qualified. That is why I have enclosed it in single quotes and I have given the first level qualified. So now I am trying to edit this particular PS file. Can I hit enter? Anybody has any questions before I hit enter? Okay. Now I've gone to the edit screen. However, how many columns are visible by default? 72. However, what is the record length of my dataset? 105. Can anybody guess which function key to scroll to the right? Anybody? Answer is here.
F11.
F11, absolutely. Now, how do I scroll back to the left?
F10.
F10. Can everybody see this? F10, F11, F10, F11. Yeah, everybody okay with that? Now let's start. Whenever there are blank lines, the moment you hit enter, the blank lines will go off. Don't worry about this for a second. Yeah, I'll teach this a little later. It's preferable that you do a reset initially so that there is a clean slate. Now, how will I insert a new line? Which line command? Anybody? Anybody? Absolutely. Now I will insert a new line. Can everybody see this? Now, what should I type in this particular data set? What should be present in the first 5 columns?
Customer ID.
Customer ID. So let me type a customer ID. And then what should be present in the next 40 columns?
Name.
Name. Everybody okay with that? Yeah. However, where should address start? In which byte should address start? Anybody? This is 5, this is 40. Total is 45.
46
So 46. So it is not practical to count the column numbers. That is why you have a line command called calls. Say with me, everyone. Yeah. Call stands for column numbers. So the moment you do it, a new line is inserted on top. One moment. Oops, sorry, my mistake. I realize I've started typing incorrectly from column 26. Yeah. I should have typed it from column 1. Let me delete everything. Start from scratch. Apologies. Yeah. Now, column numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is referred to by a 1, 20 is referred to by a 2, 30, 40, and so on. Similarly, any multiple of 5 ending with 5 is given as a plus. So this is 5, this is column 15, this is column 25, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Now let's type. Yeah. Yeah. Now, how many bytes is name expected to take? Anybody?
40 bytes.
40 bytes. It is starting in column 6. Hence, where should it end? Anybody? 45. Where should address start? Where should address start?
46.
46. Everybody okay with that? Everybody okay with that? Now, don't worry too much. We will do this exercise only when we are doing our training. In reality, such files will be created by programs. Programs will actually write these files rather than you having to manually type them. Sometimes you may have to test the program. In that case, you can always take a production file, take a copy of it, and then use it for your testing. However, please learn to type this data as well during your training. In fact, your next assignment, that is your today's assignment, will be to put proper data on your customer data file. Yeah? Any questions from anybody so far? Now I'm hitting F11. Now I'm hitting F11. F11. Now, what do you see in the last 8 bytes? Anybody? What do you see in the last 8 bytes? Come on.
Column lines.
Sequence number. Sequence number. Let me go to that particular slide. Yeah. You see a sequence number. Now, is my address Kolkata blank 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 0000100? Is it correct to have an address like this? No. However, when you try to type anything on it, can you see I'm trying to space it out? When I hit enter, can you see this error message? This is because by default, sequence number will be present on the last 8 bytes. How do you remove the sequence number? By using what primary command? Unnum. Let me do unnum. Stay with me. Yeah, and then let me hit F11. Now can you see the sequence number is gone? So whenever you open any data file for the very first time, please do what primary command? Unnum. Is that clear? Any questions from anybody so far?
Shankar, I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Initially, when we started off, the number of columns were 1 to 72, what we can see right now.
Absolutely.
When we started writing the address, it suddenly changed to 105.
F11, yeah, to scroll to the right. Yeah. So when I hit F11, can you see it goes to 105?
Exactly.
So the way it works is it shows you 72 columns at a particular point in time. So first it will show you 1 to 72, and then it will try to show you 73 to 144. However, what is the maximum record length of my file?
105 bytes.
It cannot go beyond 105. That is why it keeps 105 as the last column and then subtract 72 and shows from 34. Did I answer your question?
Yes, Shankar, thank you.
Anybody else has any questions? Anybody else? Now, let me type one more record. Oh, by the way, save primary command. Can anybody guess what will it do?
Save the data.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's always preferable that you keep saving data once in a while, so that if there's any network issue, you will not lose the data. F11, just make sure you're okay. Now let's try a couple of things. You can type a line command anywhere. So what am I doing with this particular line? Copying it. What will B do?
Before that,
Absolutely. It will not move, it will copy. So it will paste a copy of this line before the server going to be line. Can I hit enter? Now can you see? Everybody okay with that? Now, can anybody guess? Let me type a couple of can anyone guess what could be R? Can anybody guess what could be R? Any guesses are okay? Repeat. So how many lines am I repeating now? How many lines am I trying to repeat now?
2 lines.
3 lines. RR is starting here, RR is ending here. So this complete block will be immediately repeated. So RR or R need not be used the ARB. The repetition will happen immediately. Can everybody see this? Yeah. So you always type one line of data and then you change the values as you wish. Yeah. Let me change the values. Oops. Wrong spelling. Yeah, almost there. I'm just typing some data. Oh, 3, 4 is already there. Okay. Running out of names. Nevertheless, let's try. What name should I type? I just saw that movie called Gangubai. It was okay. Nevertheless, we'll not get into that. Okay. Last name. Some other. Open. Sorry. Move to the left. Move to the right. Now, by how many bytes am I trying to move the data to the left? Anybody? By how many bytes? 1 byte. Which means this 1